The spirit of E3 is alive and well, as we've had 3 different gaming events this week announcing gaming titles galore. Welcome to this week's Nerd Roundup, hosted by the Nerd Factory. I'm Jake. Let's get you up. PlayStation was first up with their State of Play, which 21 games were shown off. Wolverine was the only confirmed title before the event and hit off first with a 10-minute gameplay showcase, followed by the confirmation of pre-orders being available for the September 15th release date. The gameplay for Wolverine is going to be extremely violent and extremely gory, which I'm very happy with because it's very Wolverine. They also showed off Jean Grey, Sabretooth, and Mystique, so there are going to be some X-Men characters, even though the X-Men don't exist in this game's universe, as mutants have been hiding for around 10 years. So I'm interested to see where the story goes, and whether Spider-Man is in this universe, considering he's been Spider-Man for about 10 years. So if they're linked together, I'm very confused why mutants are scared to come out when the Spider-Men have been swinging around New York for over 10 years. Well, I guess only Peter's been doing it for 10 years. Miles, I think, has been doing it for like 3, 4, maybe. So I'm interested to find out where the story's going to go with that, because the game is definitely on my playlist. I'm going to be playing that game. Tomb Raider Legacy of Atlantis has been delayed to February 12th, 2027, as Crystal Dynamics showed off their new trailer, and it looks good. It feels like Angelina Jolie Tomb Raider in the style of like the old games, which is very cool. However, there has been a little bit of controversy with this game, as it was confirmed that AI tools have been used to help develop the game. On its Steam page, there is a AI-generated content disclosure to which Crystal Dynamics told Eurogamer that they are leveraging AI tools to help our teams iterate on ideas faster and more efficiently, while ensuring that all finished content in the final product is human-crafted. The Steam disclosure does state that AI-assisted assets were used, but were either replaced or refined by humans. I personally don't mind AI being used in games, but it should be to help, not as a final this is it, if you get what I mean. Like, the final release of the game needs to be created entirely by humans, and all AI content should just be flat out replaced. There shouldn't be any AI content in the game whatsoever. Like, using the game in like testing environments where you need a texture real quick and you don't want to make one, go ahead, use AI, but obviously with in-house assets, so it's not using anything from the internet. Like, that's fine, because it's not in-game, you're using it for testing purposes, a-okay. But the final release of the game should be entirely human, no AI touch, I guess, is kind of where I'm at. Like, I want my games made by humans. Simple as. The last game to be announced at the State of Play was God of War Laufey, I think is how you say it, which follows Faye, Atreus' mother or Kratos' other half, after the events of the first game in the Norse era, which she died, spoiler alert, and was cremated, which was shown in the trailer, so if you haven't played the game, it was in the trailer. This is centered to the afterlife of the gods, where she meets Begzi and Sekhmet. I butchered definitely the first one of those. The god and goddess of war of the Mongolian and the Egyptians, which is very cool. I like where this is going. I did Google the pronunciations of both of those, so if I got it wrong, I did do my research. I tried. You also get Jack Quaid as a jelly cube and a talking sword, so what's not to like? This game also just looks really good, and I am very excited to play it. There were some other games obviously announced that I haven't gone into because there's too many games to go into and I don't have a lot of time to go into everything in depth. So here's all the games that were announced in a big old list. Out of all of these ones I didn't go through, Lost Wild and Until Dawn are definitely on my radar. I just want to play the games. That's kind of where I'm at right now. I just want to play them. Jeff Keighley invited us to another Summer Games Fest where 49 games were shown off. There are way too many games to go through them all, so I did just pick my personal favourites to talk through, just so you're aware. And then I'll list, like I did before, I'll list them all at the end, so you can see all the games that were coming. Alien Isolation 2 got a teaser trailer showing the game is set on a remote colony planet where a survey team discovers a crashed vessel. One of the team members decides that, hey, I'm going to go look at this vessel. I'm sure nothing bad's going to happen. I wonder what could appear. Which reminds me, I do need to continue playing Alien 1. So I'll probably get on that along with the Batman stuff, because I haven't played that for a bit. So those will be coming within the week. I promise. I promise you this. The Last Ronin from new studio Paramount Games. Yeah, Paramount Studios have a game studio now. Based on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle storyline where Mikey, or Michelangelo, is the last survivor of the Turtles. Crazy, I know. Because of this, Mikey tries to get revenge for his brothers and Master's death, leading to him learning all the different weapons that the other brothers use, which is kind of cool. That's a cool story point. But that was it. It was kind of like just a teaser trailer. They didn't show any gameplay. It was just a, hey, this game is coming. And it is based on the comic book. So that's where I got most of the plot point for. Whether they'll follow it exactly is a different question. But I hope they do, because it sounds like a very cool game. And I want to see gameplay of it, because it sounds interesting. Star Wars games Galactic Racers and Zero Company both had trailers in Summer Games Fest. Galactic Racers showed off Mos Esper's pod race, which is, God, that's cool. And also the fact that Sebulba's somehow still alive decades after episode 1. How he's alive still, I do not know. Zero Company, on the other hand, showed off many locations and characters that you'll be able to use, as it is an XCOM style game, which is cool. I love that style. You can play as ARC Troopers, you can play as droids, you can play as Jedi. Like, there's so many different combinations that you can do, and there's so many different planets that apparently are in this game as well. They also showed off an appearance of Anakin Skywalker, which I don't think anybody was expecting, because the game is set in the Clone Wars era. So I'm unsure on how much canon this is going to be. But Anakin's in the game. I don't know whether you can use him as a character or he's an enemy. They didn't go into that much depth. Galactic Racers will release on October 6th, and Zero Company is releasing on August 27th. So not that far away. The final reveal of Summer Game Fest was the last installment of the Final Fantasy VII Remake trilogy called Revelation. A trailer was shown for the game showing off new mechanics and story points. It was also confirmed that the original actor Sephiroth was unavailable for the third game, leading to Critical Role's Travis Willingham taking over the role, which is ironic considering Matt Mercer has wanted to play that character for decades. But he can't because he's also in the game as someone else. The game launches simultaneously on PS5, Switch 2, Xbox Series S and X, Epic Games Store, and Steam in spring 2027. The list of all the other games that were announced at Summer Games Fest are also now on screen, so obviously you can have a look at those as well. And last but not least, Xbox Games Showcase rounded off the week of announcements with 28 games. So many games. Starting off with Gears of War E-Day, which actually looked pretty good. You can now slide and jump, as well as being able to crouch real low behind cover. So there's a lot of different movements compared to the old games, because before it was just you run and you hide, and that was about it. Now you got all these different kinds of movements, which is kind of nice. Modernizing the game, which is what it needed, because I struggled to play Gears. Sorry, I struggled. The game is also going to have a 12-player PvE mode called Horde Siege, where you fight to take down enemies, which does look really cool, because some of those enemies are massive. So, it's like a cool mini raid, but in Gears. So that's cool. I like that. That's pretty cool. I just hope the bosses aren't like bullet sponges. The game releases October 6th and is having an open beta in the summer, which is kind of cool. So you'll be able to get a little taste of the game in the summer whenever that releases, because they didn't confirm it. They just said summer. Fable was up next, which also was confirmed before the showcase, just like Gears. Showed off Haley Atwell being in the game as a character called Isabel, who we then learned was actually the antagonist of the game, which is kind of cool, because it was a very interesting trailer, because they showed off the fact that Isabel believes that she's the hero of the story, which is, I love that when they do that for antagonists and villains and stuff, where they're like, the villain thinks they're the good guy, because it's just, they're not evil, they just think they're doing good. Just turns out the stuff they're doing is evil, which then makes them evil. I had a thought process, it didn't go very well. Fable is releasing February 23rd, which is a delay, because originally I think it was meant to release at the end of the year, so they did delay it by a couple of months. But it's fine. Make the game good, because it does look fun. And it's also very British, which seems to be a theme with Xbox at a minute. Crazy Taxi is also back with a game called World Tour, which is coming out in 2027 that look just like Crazy Taxi should. But it's a world tour, so we might go to other places other than San Francisco. I hope that we go to London, because that'd be so funny, going around in a black taxi cab in London. Just please give me that, please. Spyro is also getting a new game as well called A Realm Beyond, which looks actually pretty good and is releasing in spring of 2027. So it's actually not that far away, but it does look really good. And my personal favorite from the Xbox Game Showcase, Clockwork Revolution. Another very British game. I will definitely be playing that game when it comes out on the channel, just to be clear. I'm also going to be turning up the British dial when I do it. So it's just an interesting concept for a game. They showed off a couple of like gameplay stuff. They showed off how we're going to do the clock time travel thing that they got going on. It looks very interesting. It's got a very like We Happy Few kind of tone to the game. So I'm interested. Since that game was announced, I've been interested in that game. And I just hope it's good. I hope it's good. But I have to wait because it's 2027. But here are all the other games that were announced at Xbox Game Showcase. There's a lot of them. Now you're all caught up. I really miss E3, but this week definitely gave E3 nostalgia vibes, which is quite nice. And it just brings me joy just talking about games and hearing games come out and all that fun stuff. It even got to the point where, as I'm editing this, Nintendo announced they're doing a Direct tomorrow. So be prepared for that. Nintendo have more games to announce. More games! Yay! So it's a lot of games. We're probably looking at like over 100 games over the last week that have been announced and talked about, which is cool. I love that. That's awesome. What games did you like the look of? Because there's a lot. There's a lot of games and there's a lot of different types, and there's got to be one that you like. Tell me about it in the comments. We can have a little chat about it. But other than that, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe, as you'll be getting a Nerd Roundup every Monday at 6 PM UK time. If you have any suggestions of what you'd like to see or anything you'd really like to say, like what games you like, comment down below and we'll try and respond as soon as I can. Other than that, I'll see you next week. Well, we'll talk about Nintendo.